What is going on, everybody? Shonen Express here, bringing to you a whole new type of video. This type of video I want to call Shonen Jump Newsletter. The reason I want to call that is because, as you know, if you were watching the Shonen Jump podcast that me and Irrelevant did for a while, you know that I'm really into Shonen Jump, weekly Shonen Jump. I read almost everything in the magazine. If not for We Never Learn, I would read everything in the magazine. So you know I'm super into that if you've been keeping up with this channel. Now, I've been super inconsistent, but I think that this, along with the other podcasts that I'm doing with three of my friends, the Pillow Fort podcast, please go check that out. I really had a lot of fun doing that with them this week, and I'm sure we'll only get better and better as the weeks go. So definitely check that podcast out too, especially if you like Hunter x Hunter, which is what we're going through. But on this series, what I want to do is every week I want to go through and kind of highlight what's going on in Weekly Shonen Jump, what I liked, what I didn't like, and, you know, just kind of go through that, kind of like the Shonen Jump podcast, or Shonen Express podcast, rather, that we did before. So that's kind of my goal with these videos, so I hope you like them. Without further ado, we're just going to jump right in. So first of all, I want to start with Haikyuu. Obviously, it was the first. It got the cover page this week. And Haikyuu, I don't have a whole lot to say. It was a good chapter for sure. I don't have a whole lot to say about this chapter, but I think that it was cool to see the end of the game. It was cool that the Black Jackals actually beat the Adlers. I thought the Adlers were going to win, but, I mean, it was a very even game the whole time. I really liked how they won. I loved that they won partly because Hinata played his role as the perfect decoy. This is something we've seen Hinata do, you know, from the very beginning of the show. That was his position with Karasuno. So it was really cool to see him do that for the Black Jackals and have that be the defining moment where the Black Jackals beat the Adlers. So that was cool. And then we get a flash forward. We see them in the future where both Kageyama and Hinata look like they're on the Japanese Olympic volleyball team. So I'm super excited to see that, you know, that game. And I think that this manga, I mean, this manga is close to ending. This is the last arc. The creator of the manga has said that. So we know it's going to end soon. I hope that what happens is we get to see one last Olympic level game where they are playing in the Olympics. I would love for the whole arc to be an arc about the Japanese Olympic team, you know, going up against several other countries' teams. But I understand that, you know, we got to wrap this up at some point. But I would love for to see at least one game with the best players in Japan playing that game. Obviously, Hinata and Kageyama being on that team. I would love to see that. But I'm pretty sure that Haikyuu is going to wrap up soon, and that's going to be just another one that we let go, you know, like the Promised Neverland, Demon Slayer, two big ones that just ended. Haikyuu is going to be another huge flagship manga that's going to end for Shonen Jump here in the near future. But enough talking about that. We'll move on to Jujutsu Kaisen. So this week in Jujutsu Kaisen, we got some kind of talking with, you know, the panda guy, and he was talking with some of Geto's old followers. What I liked about this chapter was we got a little bit more into Geto's followers, and I thought that was cool. Definitely something to keep an eye out. I have kind of a hard time following Jujutsu Kaisen's storyline sometimes, especially in this arc, but I do. It's starting to become more clear, if that makes sense, what's going on in this world by you know, seeing that. So I definitely like that. And Sukuna is crazy powerful. Sukuna has taken over Yuji's body, obviously. He got fed all those fingers. Jogo, the volcano head dude, fed him all the fingers. And they are in some sort of fight. It looks like Sukuna's wiping the floor with him, which is really sad because Jogo is actually my favorite cursed spirit. So it's sad to see Jogo get stomped on again. It feels like he's always getting stomped on. I really like it. But anyway, it was definitely a cool chapter. So Ayakashi Triangle this week, right? Ayakashi Triangle is one of these new chapters that wasn't even out when we were doing the podcast, so it's totally new, or one of these new chapters, one of these new series, rather, that has come out in the magazine. Ayakashi Triangle to me has such a huge potential to be something that I'm really, really into, but it stumbles on several fronts. So I think that, you know, as the story goes, we might get more more ninja, more Exorcist ninja, and I think that will help me. Which this week we did. We got this other Exorcist ninja from the Nino Kura family. I think his name was Seto or something. He was really cool. I liked him. I loved that he feels like this classic rival guy. So I really like that. I definitely am going to be looking out for him from now on. And I thought it was interesting. You know, I thought it was funny how he like got really embarrassed when he saw Matsuri's when Matsuri's skirt got thrown up. I thought it was humorous, especially because he knows that Matsuri is originally a man. And so, yeah, it's very interesting. But we'll see what happens going forward. I want to say I have high hopes for Ayakashi Triangle, but not super high hopes, I will admit. So the next manga was Hardboiled Cop and Dolphin. This is another manga that we didn't go over in the Shonen Express podcast because it didn't exist yet. This is by the author of Beelzebub, which is another manga that I've read. I have such like an in-the-middle opinion about Beelzebub, but we don't have to get into that now. I might, there might be some other video I talk about Beelzebub, but it's a really good, he's really good, I think, he or she, I'm actually not sure, they, maybe? I'm not sure who the author actually is, but they're really good at depicting action and depicting comedy, I think. And so they tend to write these manga that do both, and I think that this manga is really good at it. It is funny, and it has a lot of action. This week we got to see Shark, the main character, who I'm just going to call Shark because that's his nickname in the show, and Dolphin. And we got to see them both just do really cool like physical stunts. It was awesome to see both of them. I'm so interested in this manga. I think it's funny. I want to know what ocean crime is. I'm really interested in this manga, but I thought this was a really good chapter. Definitely really cool. We got to see Shark smashing up that octopus. I'm definitely into it. So me and Roboko, I don't really have anything to say about this manga. It's another new one, and I don't like it. I already don't like it. I'll keep reading it, because again, I like reading everything in Shonen Jump. The only reason I haven't hit We Never Learn is because I know it won't be something that I particularly enjoy, and it's like 160 chapters long. So me trying to get through 160 chapters of something I'm not really into is tough. But so far, me and Roboko has like 2 chapters, so I can handle 2 chapters. But it's a fine manga. It's just it's not for me. I don't think it's for me. It is a comedy. I am kind of interested to see if Roboko is just a human, which is kind of how I'm operating right now. It's like she's somehow a human who's either like a cyborg, she's half human or something. She's definitely not an order maid, but we'll see what happens. It's not my favorite manga, and this chapter just was kind of okay. I will say the bit with his friends being bullies is kind of funny, but like not being bullies, genuinely caring about him, that's kind of funny. And it takes like this old shonen trope of like the bully kid character and like makes them like caring and a little more real, it was funny, but I'm not a huge fan of me and Roboko. But Black Clover, this chapter of Black Clover was great. We got to see more of Yami's fight with the main triad guy. He is incredible, the main triad guy, and so is Yami. I mean, Yami beat him. Yami had him killed at the beginning of this chapter, dead to rights. This guy, came back with this body magic he says he doesn't like using. And I love the ending where after so long, after this whole series, Yami says, Asta, I need you. And Asta gets it. That's what powers Asta to get up and get in there. I really liked seeing that. That was super cool. This was definitely an awesome chapter. I'm ready to see Asta and Yami team up to take this dude down for sure. So then we get to Megu-chan, God of Destruction, and the only thing I really have to say here is I really like seeing Ruru's care for Megu. Megu is like a monster. He's a god of destruction, but like Ruru's like genuine concern and like care for Megu is really interesting for me to see. I like it. I think it's it makes this gag manga have like this kind of family, almost Lilo and Stitch vibe that I'm getting. So I really like this manga. It's again one of the new ones, but I do like this manga, and I loved seeing how concerned Ruru was for Megu when he gets back. So moving on to Time Paradox Ghost Rider. This is one of my favorite manga that are going on in the magazine right now, hands down. Again, this is a new one that we didn't ever cover in the Shonen Express podcast because it wasn't coming out when we started. But this manga is incredible. So if you've read Bakuman, the premise is the same. It's like a realistic kind of, well, semi-realistic portrayal of like a real mangaka writing a manga. But this, I have nothing but praise for this manga. However, this week I will say kind of a middle ground chapter. It wasn't my favorite chapter for sure. There wasn't any huge twist to me except for the little time skip at the end. That was a huge twist to me. What I did like was I liked seeing Sasaki's transformation. He gets those bags under his eyes. You can see how much he's really trying to crank this out and make this a good manga. Make White Knight a good manga that he is writing. And he's, not that talented. So I did love that about this week. So yeah, it was definitely a good chapter this week. And Time Paradox Ghost Rider, I have all the faith in the world. So yeah, we'll move on to Chainsaw Man. Power and Denji's relationship in Chainsaw Man is something I really like to see. Especially these past couple chapters, not so much this one, but these past couple chapters, just the care that Denji puts into helping Power through this trauma, it's really good. And Aki even was doing it too. And to see Aki is now like a gun fiend, it was sad. It was really sad when Power was like, he smells like Aki, or like, it was really sad. And this whole chapter was very interesting. Denji's trying to protect Power, and I really like Power and Denji's relationship. I have all the questions in the world about Makima now. I have all the questions in the world about the Gun Devil and what he really is. But as of right now, I really like Power and Denji's relationship. So I'm down with that. I cannot wait to see more about that. So Chainsaw Man, very good this week. The fight was cool too, even, I think, but definitely good. So Dr. Stone this week, I like the dynamic between Zeno and Senku. I think it's a really cool dynamic. I love that, like, as a kid, Zeno took an interest in Senku, and like Senku like learned from Zeno. Like, I like this, and I like how they ended up on different sides of this conflict now, given the fact that they're in this Stone Age, and that one, Senku is like, I'm going to use it for good because that was always his intention, and Zeno is like, I'm going to take over the world with this scientific knowledge. Because if you think about giving a child the means to build a rocket, you got to be a little off your rocker, and so we see that in Zeno. But I really like Zeno. I think he's a good character, and I like this new conflict, so I'm here for it all day. But it was definitely a good chapter. So moving on to Undead Unluck. So Unrepair, I don't really understand Unrepair's power. Why? Like, I get it. You can't heal, but I don't understand how it affects Andy, because it seemed like this chapter, Andy. Because what I thought was happening is, like, if Unrepair cuts Andy, right? If he just cuts like higher up on his body, he can regenerate the whole part and it's fine. But which is how I think it's been acting. Like, he cut off the stumps of his arms so that he could regenerate and all that. But at the same time that I think that's happening, like, it seems like Unrepair says like there was a special reason and Andy could do that, and I just didn't quite understand that. So I'm looking for clarity on Unrepair. If you know, please talk to me in the comments. Leave it to me there. But I'm trying to figure out what Unrepair's abilities are. He's really cool, and I even like the girl that was with him. They were really cool. This whole group of villains, I have a lot of interest in. I think it's a great addition to Undead Unluck as a manga, and I like this new guy. I like his unmove ability. I think that's really cool, where he stops all the bullets. I thought that was really cool. I like how he's got kind of like a Kobe feel to him, where he's like a coward, but we're gonna get there. I think that's really cool too. So Bone Collection, not my favorite manga. I will confess to you right now. However, this chapter I thought was pretty good. We got introduced to the fox, the QB, the fox spirit, the fox yokai at the end. I liked QB. I liked what QB kind of stood for, and I'm ready for more of that. I'm ready to see cooler fights too, and we got a little bit of that. These two girls that we meet in this, who are going to teach the yokai spell to our main characters, Pyra and Kazuma. Maybe that could be a different character, but it could be him. Again, like I said, I don't love Bone Collection all that much, but these two girls kind of opened up a new world of fights that this manga could have, and so I'm interesting. It is interesting. It's cool to see for sure. So moving on, Mission Yozakura Family. It was a good chapter. I like Mission Yozakura Family a lot because I like Tayo a lot. I think Tayo as a main character is really cool. I struggle with this, what seems like an inability to stay with this plot line that I really want to follow. This Tanpopo plot line where we're trying to find out what happened to Tayo's parents and all of that. I really want to stick with it, and we touched it again at the end of this chapter, but we didn't get into it again. So I'm just kind of wondering if we're just going to keep kicking this can down the road for weeks and weeks and weeks until this manga eventually gets canceled, and then we never know. But I am really interested in this manga. I like this manga. This chapter was okay. I thought the fight with the police guy was really cool at the end, and so it was an alright chapter. Just, I really want more. I want more of this storyline from them. Which, speaking of I want more, let's go to Mashley Magic and Muscles. Oh my word, this manga is killing me. I thought this manga was so promising when it first started, right? But this is just a Harry Potter ripoff. If you haven't seen or read Harry Potter, then maybe you don't know. But if you have, you know what Mashley Magic and Muscles is. It's Harry Potter, but like Saitama is the main character. It's so similar. It's scary, but it doesn't. There's nothing very interesting to me about Mashley Magic and Muscles. It might be my least favorite manga running in Shonen Jump right now. Yeah, I don't really have anything to say about this week. It was, more of the same thing. Which brings us to Mitama Security, Spirit Busters. I thought this chapter was funny. I liked the whole Soya monologue, how he's kind of... And my favorite part was that it wasn't his birthday at the end. That was the funniest part to me. Definitely a cool manga, but... Or a cool chapter. Definitely a cool manga. Mitama is one of the funniest ones to me. I think out of the comedy ones, it's one of my favorite comedy manga going right now. But this chapter was okay, No real complaints, but also not the most fantastic. I wasn't rolling on the ground this week. That brings us to Act Age, where we are, we're with Kei, Satsuki, and Tamaki, I think her name is. I could be very wrong about the oldest name. But this arc is interesting. I like the kind of battles and the interesting dynamic that it forges. And this chapter specifically, I like Satsuki. I like what Kei teaches Satsuki. And I think that both Kei and the older one, Tamako, or I really would hate if I'm getting a name wrong. But I like how they teach Satsuki how to be like a real actor, not just a child actor. So I think that Act Age was pretty good this week. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Which brings us to A-Gravity Boys. A-Gravity Boys has gone way down on my list of manga that I like, especially when it comes to the comedy. I haven't found A-Gravity Boys funny in a long while. That being said, I actually laughed out loud at this chapter. This could probably be because I'm pretty immature, but I think the flashback move, this arc where we're learning kind of how the A-Gravity Boys got together, how the main team came together, I think is a great idea. I think the author had a awesome streak of intelligence and good planning there to do that, because I think that the manga was kind of stalling out where it was. So I love that we're going back and seeing this, and this was hilarious. I love that Baba came up with this idea of shoving broccoli up people's butts instead of fighting. That was hilarious. I love that he keeps working in broccoli puns. If you didn't read this chapter, even if you've never read A-Gravity Boys, if you like childish, kind of humor, you'd like this manga. So I'd encourage you to check it out if you haven't read it so far. But it was definitely a great week for A-Gravity Boys for sure. And that brings us to our last manga this week, which is Mori King. And Mori King had a beach chapter. I really like Mori King, I should say, because again, this is one of the new ones that never made it into the Shonen Express podcast. But Mori King is a great manga. I think it's a really good comedy manga, one of the best running in the magazine right now. And so I definitely have high hopes for it. And the introduction of the new character, the butterfly guy, was another character that I thought was an awesome introduction. This beach episode was pretty good. It was pretty funny. Not the most funny I've ever seen, but you know, it was good for sure. I definitely liked it. And yeah, that wraps up kind of the overview of chapters this week. I definitely thought this was a good week. We were missing One Piece and My Hero Academia this week, so two of my favorite manga weren't even in the magazine this week, but it was still a pretty good week, you know, all things considered, I think. Okay, so how I kind of want to do this ranking thing is I don't really want to go through and like rank the chapters again. I think that's kind of counterproductive. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to give either, you know, we'll go from bottom to top. The bottom, 2 thumbs down. I didn't like this chapter at all. I thought it was trash, right? 1 thumb down means I didn't like this chapter, but you know, it wasn't the worst thing ever. 1 thumb up, it was a good chapter. I enjoyed it. It was solid. 2 thumbs up, it was a fantastic chapter, right? So I'm going to group these into their groups. So we will start with 2 thumbs down. The only manga in this category this week is Matchling Magic and Muscles. Like I said, just an ordinary chapter. You know, belongs in the 2 thumbs down category, I would say. Next is 1 thumb down. For in the category of 1 thumb down is only one manga, and it's me and Roboco. You know, as I said before, I don't like this manga to begin with, and this chapter was no exception. It wasn't that funny, it wasn't that cool, you know, it was kind of just not great, in my opinion. So that's why, you know, we end up in 1 thumbs down. 1 thumb up. This is by far the most populated category. We have Haikyuu, as I said, solid chapter. Can't wait for the future. Jujutsu Kaisen, interesting background, and we got to see a little bit of a fight, which I liked. Ayakashi Triangle gets 1 thumb because I like the new character introduction, and I like where the story is kind of going with that. Megu-chan God of Destruction, 1 thumb up. I like this chapter, just wasn't my favorite thing. Time Paradox Ghostwriter is in this camp, mainly because while most chapters I do think probably are going to be in the 2 thumbs up category, this one was just kind of okay, so that's where it ended up. Dr. Stone definitely belongs in this category, solid chapter, just nothing fantastic. Undead Unluck is in this category as well. I think it definitely had a cool fight, and there were cool moments in it, but just kind of average, I think. Bone Collection. This was a good Bone Collection chapter, and that's why it gets 1 star. I genuinely don't like this manga that much, but this chapter was solid, and I will acknowledge that. Mission Yozakura Family also gets 1 thumb up because it was a solid chapter. I wish they would follow the storyline. That might get me 2 thumbs up next week, but it was solid this week either way. Mitama Security Spirit Busters gets 1 thumb up. I always think Mitama's funny, and this chapter was no exception. Act Age gets 1 thumb up. Solid chapter. We got some more character development. I'm into it. And Mori King is in this category as well. Definitely a funny episode. Funny beach episode. Deserves at least 1 thumb. So, that leaves us with the coveted 2 thumbs up category. This week, in this category, we have Hard-Boiled Cop and Dolphin. This gets 2 thumbs up because I think it was hilarious and I loved the action. So it definitely, in my mind, deserves the stamp of 2 thumbs up. Also, Black Clover. This fight was amazing, and that emotional moment with Asta was incredible. I think Black Clover was amazing this week. Definitely deserves it. Also, Chainsaw Man gets 2 thumbs up. I think, again, the emotional impact of this chapter was huge for me, especially following Power and Denji through trying to get Power through all of those emotional problems. Definitely this deserves 2 thumbs up. And oh my word, I can't wait for next week to see what happens. And the last one is A Gravity Boys, which gets 2 thumbs up. This may be the only time A Gravity Boys gets 2 thumbs up for me, but I literally laughed out loud when I read this chapter, so it definitely deserves the coveted 2 thumbs up position in my mind this week. But we'll have to see what next week holds. If I find it as funny, maybe it'll make it again. Who knows? So that's all I got for you this week, guys. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked anything I had to say, please leave a like on this video. I'd love to have you be a part of this channel. Subscribe to the channel. I'm hopefully going to be producing these every week, along with the Pillow Fort podcast that I'll be doing with my friends. We are going to be producing those every other week, and we're going through Hunter x Hunter, so definitely jump on that if you can. Leave a comment down in the comment section. I'd love to hear what you have to say. But for now, that's all I got. So this is Shonen Express, signing off.